everyone, welcome back to our channel.
Hi.
Hey. Today I am joined by the lovely Hope Dear from the Grace Dear Trust. Hope's just going to give you a few words about why she's here.
Cool. Well, I'm Hope, as you already know from Charlotte introducing me. I'm from the Grace Dear Trust that we've set up a charity in memory of my sister Grace, who recently lost her battle with mental illness.
So Hope,
Yes.
when Grace was going through her challenges, how did it affect you as a sibling?
It was quite hard, to be fair, because obviously I was trying to be the bigger sort of sibling towards her. Even though I was the youngest, I was trying to be supportive for Grace, but also I was trying to deal with the emotions myself. So it was hard to see her struggling, and all I wanted to do was basically like shake her and sort of give her a hug and be like, let me take away sort of this pain. You know, if someone falls over and you like give them a hug or whatever, it kind of lets them know that you're there and it feels less painful. Whereas the difference with mental illness is you can't really take away that person's pain by giving them all the love that they deserve, really. So it was hard.
So what advice would you give to other families who are going through a similar situation that you did?
I would just say that time for me personally was not on my side or not on our side, so that time is precious. So I would say just spending as much time as you can with that person is all that they really need. They just want you to know that you're there, even though it's hard, because they want you there, but they also don't want you there. They're like, they want you to like give them a hug, but then they also want to say like, back off, like I need my own space. So it's quite difficult, but I suppose trying to find that happy medium ground to being there when they need you, but also giving them that space and letting them come to you when they need you. Yeah, also I'd say as well with families, it's important that, you know, you work together and you stick together and you don't sort of have that upset and divide, because I know that every family member has their own different opinion on how to sort of help. In my case it was Grace. I had one way, which was sort of listening to Grace and trying to work out how she was feeling, but sort of my mum and my dad had a different way of dealing with that. And I suppose it's trying to be that you're on the same wavelength and on the same path, and also just remembering that they have a mental illness, really, and that's the biggest thing that I knew that some of my family members couldn't understand. Was the fact is, you know, Grace was unwell. She had an illness that basically is uncontrolled by. It wasn't Grace. I see it as it was kind of a other person taking over Grace, and that's the hardest thing, is to realise when Grace is here and it is Grace, and when it is the mental illness, and just recognising that, you know, don't hold that grudge, don't be too angry with them, because it is the illness talking and taking over them and not them. What
would you have done differently looking back now?
That, Charlotte, is a very good question.
Yes.
I suppose what I actually think about on a daily basis doing differently is that time. Some people are lucky enough that the time with the person that's suffering with mental illness is still here. Unfortunately for myself and the other family members, we don't have that time anymore. And I just look back and think, hey, if only I didn't sit and watch that last TV programme that I was sitting down doing, and actually went for a walk with Grace, because Grace loved walking. You know, she offered to take me on walks all the time, and I just said, no, I can't be asked. And that kind of, to me, is my biggest regret, of that what I would have done differently is actually spent more time. Even though I did spend a lot of time with Grace, but I would have said that quality time we didn't do as much of. So yeah.
So I think that's a really important point that Hope made, because looking back, obviously we do still have Sam with us now, but looking back, time is really important, because I remember even when I used to go up to her bedroom when she was feeling down, or if she'd you know, when she was in recovery and she was suffering from like stomach aches and things like that, she really appreciated that time when I'd make an effort to actually go into her room, and even if I just sat there and spoke to her about my day, she didn't even have to talk to me back. It was just that time in being together.
One thing I would say, which is what I always say to my friends as well, when I watch them with their siblings, this is a personal level on a sibling, is do not let an argument go on forever. That's my one big thing, because you do not know what's around the corner. You know, if it's not mental illness, it could be something, you know what I mean, you could walk out and something could happen. And the biggest regret I have was me being in an argument with Grace when she passed away. Now that's something I have to deal with, and I wouldn't actually wish that on anyone. And so I always say to my friends, or we have an Instagram account on the Grace Dear Trust, and it's basically just dropping that, no matter how big or small this argument is, and just going, okay, and give them a hug or whatever, because you don't know what's around the corner, and you don't want to be in that limbo land of, what if I did this? If I wasn't so stubborn, could this have happened? So, yeah. Don't fight with your siblings.
So do you want to explain a little bit about the Grace Dear Trust?
Yeah, so we set up the Grace Dear Trust, myself and my two brothers and my mum and dad, in memory of Grace in November. So we haven't been a year yet, we've not had our year's birthday. And it's basically to, what's the word I'm looking for? It was to basically keep Grace's memory alive, because everyone who knew Grace said she didn't look unwell, or we didn't know she was unwell, if we knew this and that happened, blah, blah, blah. And we thought to keep her she loved drama and acting, so keep her like theatrical thing of Grace going alive, we decided to set up the charity. And it was basically done because Grace was suffering with depression, anxiety since she was 13, and she was self-harming when she was 13, and it went on unnoticed, and we didn't actually know until she was about 22 that something wasn't quite right. So we decided that we don't want anyone at the age of 12 or 13 or, you know, however old, suffering in silence. So the Grace Dear Trust is set up to basically go into schools and basically getting young people start talking about how they're feeling, and no matter how big or small, everyone should be able to talk about their problems. And we think that that's the biggest problem today, is that no one really talks about it. So yeah, the Grace Dear Trust is basically going into schools, giving on talks and presentations about mental health, and we're also giving teachers and young people training, because that's again a biggest issue that we found out from going into schools like Torf Girls around the corner, is that they don't have enough money to send teachers or send young people on these courses. And hey, that's where we come in.
Yay! The details of the Grace Dear Trust will be at the end of this video.
Yeah.
So please like them on Facebook and follow them on Instagram, follow them on Twitter.
Yes, hashtag it's okay not to be okay. You know.
And it is. Thank you very much, Hope, for joining us. And
thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm sure this video is going to help lots of people. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.